Hello again, everybody. Dr. Glenn with Infinite Wellness, back with our Q&A question and answer series. Happy to be with you again. Hope you're enjoying what we've already put out there. Hope you're paying attention. And please feel free, like our videos, watch our videos, and give us a thumbs up. And most of all, please ask us more questions so we have more stuff to be able to come to you with.
All right, today it says, how much does our gut health affect the rest of our body? For example, our immune function.
Excellent. Okay, great question. So, GI health. Wow, this can get really fairly deep into physiology. So there's a lot of information here that we could try to go into, but without a basic understanding of physiology of the body, that might be a little complicated. So we'll keep it as generic as I possibly know how to. So the health of our gut. Obviously, we know that everything we eat, in one way or another, has to become us. Right? So that function of actually absorbing energy, nutrients, things of that nature from our food that we eat or from the fluids we drink, in particular water. So gut health is really all about what can the body absorb, what should it absorb, what we put in it, and how well it functions. So back to that function, this question was specifically about immunity in particular, and overall health. Well, we know with our overall health, without immunity, then we have poor regulation of a lot of things. We get sick more often. We don't digest very well. We go through a lot of changes as far as the body trying to figure out how to process and aid us with what it absorbs from our food. So if our gut health is poor, then immune function lowers, as do many other functions. We know that, right? We become sicker if we're not absorbing food properly. So I guess part of that question is actually, what is gut health? How does that occur? Well, for our gut to be able to digest things, we need proper bacterial balances. We need good intake of foods that we can absorb, period, things that don't ruin absorption, as well as foods that are healthy and have the good things we want to absorb. So a lot of key factors in all of that. But gut health, we talk about that a little bit. You'll hear that online, that term, gut health, really comes down to how well is our gut functioning. And function has a lot to do with separate things. One, like I said, microbiome. That's a little more physiology. You'll get into good and bad bacteria. But really, function. How well is our intestines able to move food through? And we see a lot more of that as being a problem nowadays with things in our food like hormones, pesticides, things to keep things fresh longer on shelves, things that are keeping bugs out of our food. We're finding out that a lot of these compounds that we use in our food slow down or inhibit, stop our gut motility. They keep things from moving through our gut as fast, obviously, right? So the whole concept of breakdown, our gut is full of bacteria, good, bad bacteria. If our food is being constantly sprayed or constantly treated with things that keep it from going bad, quote unquote, rotting, which technically in our stomach, bacteria break our food down and rot our food. If it's sprayed with chemicals and treated with things like that keep it from doing that, then it does the same thing inside our body. So as food is trying to move through and the body is trying to digest it, it can't. The bacteria in our stomach can't functionally break it down soon enough because they're trying to get through all the herbicides, pesticides, chemical compounds used to keep our food fresh for longer. So when we talk about stuff like eating the proper foods, we need to really look to whatever we can get as fresh as possible. Sometimes organic, if organic is truly organic, but whatever we can do to keep foods in us that are not overly chemically laden. Because as they slow down within our gut and they don't move through as quickly, we don't absorb as quickly. And we end up with problems like constipation, or for some people who body really doesn't recognize that, severe diarrhea. And as we eat, we get bloated, our stomach's not able to digest. Chemicals are actually becoming formed from the body trying to get to the food, break down the food that these pesticides, herbicides, and things won't let break down. And we end up with this whole fight in our intestines. And if that all backs up, we end up with all kinds of stuff. The GI tract actually becomes infected. And you'll start hearing about things like not just indigestion, but colitis, or ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease. So these things progress as the food in our stomach can't be broken down, can't be absorbed properly. The gut biome, the actual bacteria begin to die off because they're not getting what they need, the good ones. The bad ones proliferate because we give them too many sugars and other compounds that are in the food. So gut health is very important as a function of our whole body for absorption of natural nutrients that we absolutely need and for breakdown of other stuff to get it moved through and rid of it. And if the body's not doing one or both of those things, then we end up affecting our entire health. Lack of nutrition, we know muscles don't get what they need. We don't feel as healthy. We're not getting enough nutrients. Vice versa. Too many bad things in, we know. We end up weight gain from too much sugars and things that begin to accumulate in the body. And then because of those things, we end up with infection. If the body is not moving things through, it's easy to get infection in through the intestinal areas, especially the lower, larger intestines, which of course wrecks our immunity. So once that immune function of the gut is compromised by all this food source, then the rest of the body becomes affected as well. And it leads into all kinds of things that we just don't want. In particular, lowered immune function throughout the body's ability to fight disease. It's busy handling stuff that's in our stomach as opposed to handling the other stuff that we breathe in through our nose or we get into our mouths or through touch and through our skin. And we end up with things like viruses and bacteria, fungus that affect us even more if our gut's not healthy. So the two are intimately tied together. To have good function throughout the body, we also have to have really good processing of the stuff we put in the body. So gut health is tied intimately to immune health. And there's a very close patterning of both of those. So very important. Please go back and watch some of our videos on food and some of the stuff I talk about with that, with digestive health and some of that. We have a few videos, other videos related to this kind of thing about, how is the gut performing and what kind of foods we ought to be eating. We did a reverse of the food pyramid before it even came out on the rest of the internet that RFK decided to flip the food pyramid. We did a video weeks ago about that, talking about that very same thing. So apparently the government's following our recommendations. They're just a little behind us. But that being said, those are some of the things you can watch as well. We also do a cleanse. I just got through with one. I try to do mine at the beginning of every year and then sometimes somewhere in the middle. But a good cleanse to help reset the guts is also very, very important. And I won't go through all of what that is. There's another great video on that for our cleanse, and you can look that up. But just got through with mine, feel a whole lot better, got a bunch more energy. In fact, having a hard time sitting still today. But I feel a ton better just from that quick 7 days of cleaning things out, getting gut health back to what it should be. And that brings back on so many other things, energy-wise, emotional too, but in particular, immune function. So, lot to be said for our gut health and the rest of our health being tied together, and it's definitely something we should be paying more attention to, especially now where food is such a problem.